Welcome to the Porn Reboot podcast, where you get practical tips to gaining control over your porn or sex addiction. We help ambitious men end their out-of-control sexual behavior with pornography, sex, and masturbation so that you can maximize your life, perform at your potential, and remain in control in the driver's seat, which is where you have to be in order to gain or maintain the success you want in life. I'm your host, J.K. Amazy, certified sex and porn addiction recovery coach. Welcome to the episode. Brothers, anyone can talk the talk, but not everyone can walk the walk. And that's why here at Porn Reboot, where we do walk the walk, I'll be sharing every few episodes some snippets of success stories and testimonials from brothers who are in our implementation intensive and in our free groups. And they're going to be sharing some of the results they've been getting so that this can further inspire you to take action on all the different tips and techniques that you learn while listening to the Porn Reboot podcast. Enjoy.
What's going on, Reboot team? I am here who is coming to us from the Porn Reboot implementation group, who has been more than gracious with his time to talk about his experience in the group. I have my friend Sam with me today. How you doing today, sir?
Yeah, I'm doing really well, Chris. How are you?
I'm doing great, man. Thanks for making the time, taking the time. First of all, how did you first discover the Porn Reboot group to begin with?
So, it was through like a lot of YouTube videos for starters as well, and like just reading online because I'd done all the NoFap and all that stuff that just wasn't working because I guess at the end of the day they're only dealing with like one aspect of the whole thing because it is a lot more than just the compulsive behavior. So eventually, I found that and decided, all right, I'm just going to join the free Facebook group, and then was in there for, I think it was at least a couple of years. And like people have been really awesome in terms of like being able to try and help me with giving me discounts and things like that, just from the financial aspect. Then I had burnout at work in October last year, and that pretty much just kind of escalated my behavior, for lack of a better term, to the point where like I made a post in the group and JK, with all the love in the world, just really bluntly put it out there. And I was just like, you know what? Screw it. Let's do it. So I, made it happen to be able to join the implementation group, and I'm really glad I did.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. So many questions from that little share alone. Let's start with one piece. You said that you were working with, what you could find online. I'm sure you found a lot of like NoFap stuff, things like that. I'm curious, like, what was your experience like compared to like that NoFap stuff? Like, how would you compare the NoFap world versus the Reboot world?
I think the thing with NoFap, as I've found, as I'm sure many other brothers have found, is that it's all about like abstinence, and that's it. Like, and it's all about like maintaining willpower and gaining superpowers. And like, but when like the more I think about it, these superpowers aren't superpowers. It's kind of like that's what the baseline should be of like who we are. And like, I think it was just like willpower, obviously, as we find in the program and everything, is willpower's finite, and all it takes is one slip, and then because they count like the counting days and the like you're back to zero, and it's like that's disheartening. All it takes is one bad week, and you feel like you're right back at the start, and it's like, well, no, actually there is a lot of progress that's been made. So I find that being a big fundamental difference, but also the fact that like NoFap and all those kind of things just focus on that. Whereas like I love the fact that the Reboot program is about changing your entire life for the better and actually making improvements on everything else so that you don't actually feel the need to engage in that behavior. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that. And I think that's a really important distinction, and I'm curious, related to your first initial share there, there was the moment where JK kind of said like, hey, like this is what you might need. You were talking about getting burned out from your job. What was the moment like when you finally decided to join the implementation group? Like, what was kind of the straw that broke the camel's back?
The straw that broke the camel's back was like I had previously, like my behavior had never gone down this particular road. And that's where I knew that it was escalating, was that like I'd never indulged in like the cam thing or like anything like that. But I did, and it was like I got a scammer basically. And it was like I don't think I've ever felt so like low in terms of like wondering what the hell actually to do. And that's why like I freaked out, and I actually posted in the free group about it. And then I messaged Gaspar as well. But of course the time zone difference meant that like nobody saw my message for a while. So there was like a lot of freaking out. But then like, yeah, everyone was really good and everyone was supportive. But yeah, JK just coming in with that tough love that was absolutely necessary.
Well, that's amazing. And so you join the group, and everything is perhaps very, very new. It might be a little overwhelming at first. Like, what were your feelings like once you first joined the group for real?
It was definitely overwhelming. Yes, it's definitely an apt description. I think just because there was so much information all at once to kind of process, which was like, I think as well, like, and that's where I found talking with you really beneficial, is like, you don't have to look at it all at once. Because I guess for me, I felt like, okay, I've got like this one time period and there's all this information, I better get going. And then it's like, just take time. Like, and as soon as I did that, it was like, okay, cool. Like, I can just focus on this right now and like actually just take my time.
Yeah, it really is a kind of choose your own adventure or kind of go at your own pace type of thing, because the modules and things and what you can find in the group, like they're all going to be there as long as you remain a member of the group. But for guys like us, we are really ambitious. There's things that we want to do, and we're guys with a lot of energy. So we can first see like this mountain of material and kind of looking from the foot of it being like, but it's not just about like, okay, complete all these homework assignments. The modules are simply there just to kind of like support you and sure, give you some information, but it's holding you accountable to the fact that this isn't just the information group. This is the implementation group, So on that note, what has been like the most effective tool that you've learned about?
I mean, the most effective tool that I've been able to like completely implement into my day is the feelings exercise. Like, I was always relatively consistent with journaling anyway, but this has kind of focused my journaling a lot more, I guess you'd say, to the point now where I always make a priority to at least get the morning one done, because the morning routine, of course, is so fundamental to how your day's going to go. And where possible, I do try and do it in the evening as well, as also like kind of a day review of like, then it's kind of like you're able to leave the day that day and start fresh the next day, which I find really important, especially when like a lot can happen in a day. So I do find that the feelings exercise is definitely the big one that I've been able to remain absolutely consistent with. And I'm getting there slowly with the other ones. I mean, meditation is another one that is fairly consistent in my life, and even prior to joining the program. So it's kind of nice to have had a bit more nuanced information on that aspect as well.
Yeah, absolutely. We literally have modules in the group that are based around meditation and how important it is. So that's awesome. I'm glad you took a lot away from that. Particularly the feelings exercise, such a foundational aspect of the morning routine, It seems simple on paper, but once you put it into practice, like, as you said, like, it's just, I mean, like, how do you feel? Like, after been doing the feelings exercise for as long as you have?
It's been great to actually just realize just how nuanced feelings are, in that sense of, it's not just like, I feel sad or I feel happy or I feel angry. Like, there's so many nuances, and breaking that down has been really good. And also, like, I find it's really helpful to actually like understand things from childhood that necessarily I haven't even thought about in like decades. And then it's like, oh, that was actually the first time I felt this way, like when this happened. And it's like, I haven't even thought about that in 20 years.
Yeah.
So
it's amazing when you give yourself that time and space to actually feel your feelings. You could be really amazed by what the heck comes up. You know what I mean? So that's great.
Oh, definitely.
I'm glad that you've had those experiences. I am curious. So you're in the group. It's initially overwhelming, but once you kind of get a feel for the pace and how things work, and now that you're kind of at where you're at, having been in the program now for as long as you have, I'm curious as to what types of changes you may have noticed within yourself, whether it be in your mood, your habits, your sense of self, like where are you at?
I think on the whole, I am definitely better. I'm not what I would say where I want to be just yet, but where I was like at the start of the year and like at the end of last, it's like chalk and cheese, totally different. So it's massive difference, I think, in that sense.
I've never heard the phrase, it's like chalk and cheese. I am so stealing that. So good.
Yeah, it's a common one here.
So funny. But I tell guys this all the time, this thought of I might not be where I want to be, but I know for sure I'm not where I used to be.
Yeah.
And that's progress. I mean, a big motto that
Yeah.
we have in the group is progress, not perfection,
Yeah,
So,
and I love it.
yeah, and that's great, man. I'm glad that you're on your way and you have the tools to keep you on that road. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
What's
absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. What's your experience been like in the coaching calls?
So, I mean, I didn't get to make use of them as much as I would have liked just based on the time zone difference for myself. But the ones that I were in, absolutely amazing. Just like everyone was really like informative, but also everyone was really kind and gracious with their time. And everyone had a floor to be able to actually, voice questions and get a detailed answer as to the nature of their question, which is really awesome. So I think it's invaluable being able to actually utilize that.
That's awesome. Yeah, I totally agree. So I know that one thing I wanted to ask you was essentially this. If you could give somebody that might have experienced that same level of burnout that you did and that same level of just suffering in silence and being in a similar situation where you meet a scammer, which I know a thing or two about, having learned what you've learned now, is there anything that you would tell that person?
I think it would just be like, get onto it sooner. Like, because like time is the only thing that we never get back. We can earn more money, we can get more stuff, whatever. But like once we've used our time, that's our time. So I think it's the sooner you actually admit that this is a problem, then the sooner everything will be a lot better.
100%. I mean, speed is king, It's, this is our one life, you know what I mean? And not to take things so grandiose, but I'm so proud of you for like seeing an opportunity, and when the time was right, you made a change and you literally said yourself, it's like, okay, I might not be where I want to be, but I'm on my way. I'm no longer chalk, I'm cheese.
Exactly.
Oh, that's great, man. So I know one thing I wanted to ask you is simply to somebody like that who, again, might have felt that similar feeling that you and I know very well of suffering in silence, not knowing what to do or not seeing many options in their life and their choices. Would you recommend this program?
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Like, I mean, this program and the community involved, it's made everything so much simpler in terms of like, there's answers, you get out of it what you put in terms of like, if you put the work in, you get the rewards. So I think it's really, really good. And the community is absolutely welcoming and everybody was really good. And everyone had like, everyone's in their own point of their journey, but people have always got tips and like, hey, watch out for this, or like, you could try this. And it's absolutely amazing. Just like the amount of knowledge and community that's involved. So I'd absolutely recommend getting into this. Yeah.
That's amazing to hear, man. And for anybody who might be watching this or listening to this, take it from a fellow brother in the struggle. Like, you are not alone. There is, in fact, help for you. And thank you so much, Sam, for your time and your words and your experience. To somebody who might be watching this, who might be kind of on the fence about joining the program or confused about what to do next, any last words of wisdom for somebody like that?
I think at the end of the day, you just have to weigh up like, just make it happen. Like, do what you have to, because we've only got one life, and it's like we could just keep doing the same thing that we've always done, or maybe we can actually grow and become better, and you never know what life will bring you then. Everything you'd ever hoped of.
And with that, thank you so much, brother, for your time. All the best.
Thanks, brother.
I'm JK, your brother in this struggle. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Porn Reboot podcast. I'll speak to you later on in the week. If you found this episode helpful, here are 4 ways I can help you with your out of control sexual behavior for free. The first way is to grab a free copy of my book, Confessions of a Porn Addict, 7 Secrets of Porn-Free Men at elevatedrecovery.org, or visit the link in the description below this episode. The second way is, if you're not sure where to start, but you'd like to learn more about my team and I, if you'd like to spend time with like-minded professionals and business owners who are controlling their behavior, then join our free and confidential group, the Porn Reboot group on Facebook. There's a link to join in the description below this episode. The third way is, if you need help right now because you have a burning issue, your behavior with pornography is hurting you mentally or emotionally, you're about to lose your relationship, you want to live up to your potential, be an authentic man, and free yourself from shame, guilt, and underachieving, then click on the link in the description below this episode that says free coaching call. And the fourth way is to leave us a 5-star review if you enjoy this podcast, so that we can reach more men who are struggling in silence and bring back the lessons we learn from coaching them to freedom.